Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about polyvagal theory. So this is a topic that is quite science heavy. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to break it all down and explain it in a way that hopefully most of you guys will understand and be able to apply it to your horse and your training. So all of the information that I will be talking about today, I have gotten from Sarah Schulte's work. She is the founder of Equisoma. So if you want to do a deeper dive into the science, I highly recommend heading over to her website and doing a deep dive over there. She is the expert in this topic. I am just bringing it to you guys in a simpler format to help you guys sort of wrap your head around this topic. Let's start by having a look at the two-branch model of the autonomic nervous system. So in this model, you've got the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest, and your sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight and flight. This is the nervous system that most people think about when they think about the nervous system. Now let's look at the autonomic nervous system model that Dr. Stephen Porges has described. So he describes a three-branch model rather than the two-branch model. Along with thinking about the nervous system as the two-branch model, we also tend to think that the nervous system is either on or off. So you've either got the parasympathetic on, your fight and flight, or you're back in parasympathetic nervous system. However, in Dr. Porges' model, he talks about the three branches working together sort of like a dial. And this is how I'm going to be talking about the nervous system in this video. And you can see here, we've got two dials in the parasympathetic nervous system, so your typical rest and digest nervous system, and one dial in the sympathetic nervous system. So in terms of the dials, so if you have a really high turned up dorsal vagal complex dial, then your animal or you are in a state of immobility and freeze. However, if that dial is turned down low, then you're more in a state of relaxation. In terms of the sympathetic nervous system, a cranked up dial would indicate a high level of arousal, whether that is fight or flight or just a high level of hyperarousal. And a low dial would be a level of hypoarousal. So I'm going to start with the sympathetic nervous system because I find this a little bit simpler to understand. So the sympathetic nervous system is responsible for arousal. So that can be good arousal like exercise, running around, playing, reproduction, and it can also be your fight or flight reflex, so your survival activation. So this dial can be turned up and down, and it doesn't necessarily mean that this is a bad thing. In a well-functioning and healthy nervous system, it is completely normal to have fluctuations in the sympathetic nervous system like this. In a dysregulated nervous system or a nervous system that is not functioning in a healthy way, the dial will get stuck cranked up to extremes. So you'll get it stuck up in hyperarousal, or you may get it cranked down low and stuck down in hypoarousal. Now let's talk about the parasympathetic nervous system ventral vagal complex. So this is your dial that is responsible for social engagement, play, rest and digest, all those sort of things that we tend to associate with the parasympathetic nervous system. So the sympathetic nervous system and the ventral vagal complex can be activated at the same time. Just like you would turn the little dials up to certain degrees, they can both be on at the same time. For example, when a horse is playing with another horse. So what's interesting about the ventral vagal complex compared to just the standard parasympathetic nervous system versus sympathetic nervous system two-branch model is that the ventral vagal complex can be activated during times of stress. So when a mammal is faced with a threat, they may turn to social engagement strategies for self-soothing and protection. So we see this all the time with horses, right? Think about a horse that has separation anxiety, doesn't want to be away from the herd. Or horses, when they get scared, they all move together as a herd. So this is very strong in all mammals, but particularly in horses. So what happens if the social engagement strategy doesn't work? That is when a horse will escalate to fight or flight. This means that if you have a good relationship with your horse, then you have moments before a fight or flight reaction to check in with them, engage with them, connect with them, and help them to feel better. Now, let's talk about everybody's favorite word, shutdown. So this is what happens when social engagement does not work. So the horse will escalate to fight and flight, and then that does not work also. It is literally the nervous system's last attempt at self-preservation. And it's also the most primitive nervous system response, and it's coming directly from our lizard brain area. It is incredibly sad and very, very hard to sort of come to terms with how many horses have actually been pushed to this state by humans. But when we know better, we can do better. So I hope you guys are still all following along. This is a diagram of the nervous system progression based on everything that I have just spoken about. So say your horse is grazing in the field and suddenly he perceives a threat. He seeks social engagement to the other horses. The other horses either move off together in a group or assess the threat and perceive it to not really be a threat at all, and so they go back to grazing. Now imagine that it is you staying there with your horse, and your horse perceives a threat and may spook. And then you correct your horse, tell them off, make them stand up straight, whatever it is that you do. You have now cut off that social engagement for your horse. You have shown your horse that you do not care how he feels or what he's experiencing. So your horse's nervous system will activate into fight or flight, so sympathetic nervous system activation. So now your horse is staying there in sympathetic nervous system activation. So its nervous system is telling it that it needs to either run or fight. This will display as behavior that we label bad. So spooking, snorting, flighty behavior, bolting, or even aggression. Us as horse owners though, we then start to try and manage the symptoms. So we might tie our horse up so that it can't bolt. We might use punishment to stop the bad behavior. But what this does is it leaves the horse's fight or flight activation unsuccessful. So the only next step for its nervous system to go into is dorsal vagal complex, aka shutdown. Now, that was a lot of heavy content, so here is something a little bit nicer. So this is Aragon and Charm, and I captured this and I thought it was very, very interesting in regards to social engagement. So see there, she does that thing with her head and then Aragon will mirror her. Now she's going to do that and he will also mirror. So mirroring is a method of social engagement. So Aragon is a really good example of a horse in which this dial is able to be turned up quite easily and quite quickly. So his go-to has always been social engagement, and he's actually the one that really showed me the true power in social engagement in horses. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and that you got a lot out of it. Please let me know what you thought in the comment, and I will be doing a lot more videos to talk more about this topic because I couldn't possibly cover it all in one video. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button and also go follow me on TikTok and Instagram so you don't miss out.